All right, so get this ready to unlock your inner badass because today we are diving deep
What, like that?
into You Are a Badass
Love that book.
by Jen Sincero.
So good.
And this is one of those self-help books that I think a lot of people have come across
For sure.
and really enjoyed. It's one of those that's not super dry and boring.
It's fun.
It's got a lot of humor in it.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to dig into this one today.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably found this one just like we did
Yeah.
online as
Yeah.
a PDF.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
we're working from that.
It's really interesting because she blends humor and like some real psychological insights in a way that I think is both entertaining but also like really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't just tell you to think happy thoughts.
Right.
She really gives you a framework for understanding, why you might be stuck.
Yeah.
And how to actually break free.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes it so appealing and accessible to people is that
Totally.
it's not just like fluff. It's like she actually gives you real tools and techniques. And I think one of the first things she digs into is this idea of subconscious programming.
Right, which is basically all those beliefs we pick up throughout our lives.
Yes.
And often, in childhood.
Yeah.
And those beliefs can be so deeply ingrained.
Yes.
We don't even realize that they're kind of running the show behind the scenes.
Like it's a hidden computer program.
Yes.
That's dictating your actions and your reactions.
100%. And sometimes, this programming can seriously sabotage our success and our happiness.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so remind me what subconscious programming means again.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm getting a little lost.
Sure. So you're probably familiar with the idea that,
Okay.
our childhood experiences shape us, right?
Yeah.
Well, subconscious programming is kind of like that.
Okay.
But it goes deeper. It's about the messages we absorbed about ourselves, about the world, about what's possible and what's not possible.
Right.
And these messages, they become part of our operating system.
Okay.
And they influence our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors, even if we're not consciously aware of them.
So like those times when I completely overreact to something small.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why.
Exactly. It's like our subconscious is pressing buttons we didn't even know we had.
Yeah.
And she tells this great story about a bowling accident that she had.
Oh, okay.
And, she got so caught up in the moment and she forgot to pay attention to her footwork. And she ended up wiping out.
Okay.
And later, she realized that it stemmed from this subconscious fear of confrontation that she developed as a kid.
Wow. So these beliefs can be incredibly powerful.
They can be incredibly powerful.
I mean, a bowling accident, that's intense.
Yeah. And she calls this part of us that's stuck in these old patterns. She calls that the big snooze.
The big snooze.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You ever been there?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we all have.
Yeah.
She compares it to an overprotective mother.
Right.
Who, wants to keep us safe in our little comfort zone. Even if it means we never reach our full potential.
Right.
So that mother might mean well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, she's holding us back.
Okay, so how do we wake up from this big snooze?
Right.
What's the antidote?
Well, that's where source energy comes in.
Okay, source energy. I've heard that before, but I'm not sure. I totally get it.
Okay, well, think about it like this.
Okay.
Have you ever been working on something,
Yeah.
like a creative project?
Yeah.
And you get into this flow state where everything just clicks. You lose track of time. Ideas are flowing effortlessly.
Yeah.
And you just feel totally energized and inspired.
Yeah.
That feeling, that state of being,
Right.
that's like tapping into source energy.
Okay, I can definitely relate to that. So she's saying we can all access this source energy.
It's not some exclusive club.
Right.
It's available to everyone.
Okay.
But here's the catch.
Uh-oh.
You have to believe you're worthy and deserving to receive it.
Ooh, that's where things get really interesting.
That's the key.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing source energy is out there.
Right.
It's about believing.
It's about aligning your energy with that of source energy.
Okay.
And she talks about raising your frequency through practices like meditation to connect with this power.
Okay.
It's kind of like tuning into the right radio station to get the music you want.
Okay, so if source energy is like this amazing radio station, playing all the best hits, our subconscious programming is kind of like static.
Yes.
Getting in the way.
A perfect analogy. Yeah, if you're stuck in negativity and self-doubt,
Yeah.
you're essentially creating static that blocks that signal.
Right, okay.
You know?
So then step one is clearing out that static. Right.
Exactly.
That's where identifying
Yes.
those pesky limiting beliefs comes in.
Yes, absolutely.
What are some examples?
Well, think about the stories we tell ourselves that hold us back.
Okay.
Things like, I'm not good enough. I'll never be rich.
Right.
I'm too old to change.
Yep.
Those kinds of thoughts.
Those are limiting beliefs.
Those are limiting beliefs.
Okay, and she has some strategies for dismantling these beliefs.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
You don't think we're just stuck with them forever.
You're not stuck with them forever.
Okay, good.
It starts with becoming aware of them.
Okay.
Really paying attention to that negative self-talk.
Right.
Notice when those limiting beliefs pop up and start to question their validity.
Okay.
Ask yourself, is this really true?
Right.
Often you'll find there's no evidence to support those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
This
is where affirmations come in, right?
Yes.
Like replacing those negative thoughts.
Exactly.
With positive, empowering statements.
100%. She's a big believer in the power of affirmations.
Okay.
To reprogram our thinking. And it's not just about, repeating positive phrases mindlessly.
Right.
It's about choosing statements that resonate with you.
Yeah.
And that you genuinely want to believe.
That makes sense. But how do we know if these affirmations are actually working?
Well,
it seems like it would be so easy to just go back to those old negative patterns.
It takes time and effort to rewire our thinking.
Right.
But there's a reason affirmations are such a popular tool in self-development.
Right.
She talks about dishing what she calls I suck fests.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever caught yourself in one of those?
Oh, absolutely. Like a self-deprecating humor spiral.
Yeah.
Where you just put yourself down constantly. I'm such a mess. I can't believe I did that.
Totally.
I used to think it was harmless.
Right.
Maybe even endearing.
Yeah.
But now I see how it can really...
It reinforce
those negative beliefs.
All those negative beliefs.
What about you?
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
It's like we're trying to beat everyone else to the punch by putting ourselves down first.
Right.
But as she points out, all that negative self-talk is actually really damaging.
Yeah.
It's like constantly chipping away at your self-esteem.
Okay, so ditch the I suck fests.
Ditch the I suck fest.
Yeah. What are some other ways?
Well, she talks about the importance of self-love.
Okay.
And self-care. And it's not just about, bubble baths and face masks.
Right.
Although those are great too.
Yeah.
It's about treating yourself with kindness and compassion.
Okay.
Accepting compliments gracefully.
Yeah.
And really nurturing your body and mind.
And avoiding comparing yourself to others, right?
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a huge one for me.
Especially in the age of social media.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's so easy to fall into that comparison trap.
Yes.
And she humorously points out how ridiculous it would be if, like, Marilyn Monroe was comparing herself to Kate Moss.
Right.
It's apples and oranges.
Each person is unique with their own strengths and beauty.
Absolutely. What are some other strategies that resonated with you?
Forgiving yourself for past mistakes is huge.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. It's part of being human.
Yeah.
But holding on to that guilt and shame only keeps us stuck in the past.
It's like carrying around all this heavy baggage that weighs you down.
Exactly.
Forgiveness is about letting go of that baggage.
It is.
And freeing yourself to move forward.
100%. And it's not just about forgiving yourself.
Right.
It's also about forgiving others.
Okay. That's a hard one.
She says holding on to anger and resentment
is like drinking poison.
Wow.
And expecting the other person to die.
That's intense.
It's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah, it makes you realize how much those negative emotions are actually hurting.
They're not serving you in any way.
Right. Okay.
And this brings us to, I think, one of the most important points she makes.
Okay.
It's not enough to just read self-help books.
Right.
And nod along.
Yeah.
You have to take action.
You have to take action.
To create change.
I love that she walks the walk, too.
She does.
She talks about her own journey.
Yeah.
How she used to be totally resistant to self-help.
Yeah.
But then she started applying these principles, and she built a successful coaching business.
I love that about her.
Yeah.
She's a living example of the power of these ideas.
Yeah.
She's not just preaching from a pedestal.
Right.
She's been there, and she's figured out what works.
She uses this great metaphor of a bird trapped in a room.
Oh, yeah.
The bird could fly free at any moment, but it's so convinced that it's stuck.
Yeah.
It doesn't even try.
It's such a powerful image, isn't it?
Yeah.
We do the same thing with our lives.
Totally.
We create our own limitations.
Well, we do.
You know,
yeah.
we tell ourselves we're not good enough or we're not capable of
Right.
achieving our dreams, and then we act accordingly.
Right.
But the truth is, we have so much more power than we realize.
Yeah. It's like we're holding the keys
Yeah,
to our own freedom, but we're too afraid to use them.
we are.
What are some other ways?
Well,
She encourages us to take action.
she talks about the importance of defining your purpose,
Okay.
of finding your calling or your reason for being here.
Right. And I love how she discovered her passion for coaching.
I know, me too.
She was attending this
Yep.
entrepreneurial think tank group,
Yeah.
but she didn't even have a project in mind.
She didn't.
She was just there to explore, to connect.
And that's how it all started.
That's how it all started.
It's amazing how often the things we're most passionate about find us when we least expect them.
It's so true.
It's like when you stop trying so hard
Yeah.
to force things.
Yes.
The universe opens up and presents you with exactly what you need.
So true. Have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best things in life happen when we step outside of our comfort zones
Right.
and embrace the unknown.
Yeah. She has this hilarious story about
Interesting.
Loincloth Man.
Loincloth man.
That perfectly illustrates this.
Yes.
Tell me about Loincloth Man.
Okay, so she was in India
Okay.
and she decided to go on this spiritual retreat.
Okay.
You know, and she was expecting this serene meditative experience.
Right.
But what she got was something completely different.
Oh, okay. I'm hooked. What happened?
Well, during one of the meditations,
Okay.
this guy in a loincloth wandered into the room,
What?
started chanting.
No way.
Yeah, and it totally disrupted the peaceful vibe.
I bet.
And she was initially annoyed.
Yeah, like, dude, wrong room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then something shifted.
Okay.
You know, she realized that she could either resist this unexpected disruption
Mm-hmm.
or she could embrace it.
And what does she do?
She loosened her bone.
She loosened her bone.
She let go of her expectations
Okay.
and decided to see what would happen.
Okay.
And you know what?
What?
It turned out to
Yeah.
be an incredibly powerful experience.
Wow. So Loincloth Man was actually a teacher in disguise.
Exactly.
Okay.
He was a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected experiences
Right.
can lead us to our greatest discoveries,
Yeah.
you know, and she encourages readers to tap into their fantasies,
Okay.
their wildest dreams, even if they seem outlandish.
So it's about not limiting yourself based on what you think is realistic
Yes.
or practical.
Totally.
Oh,
What's
great.
the harm in dreaming big?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and sometimes the best way to discover your purpose
Mm-hmm.
is to just start taking action,
Mm-hmm.
to try things out, even if you don't know where they'll lead,
Totally.
you know?
Okay, so we've talked about
Yeah.
subconscious programming, yes, source energy,
Huh.
and the importance of identifying and dismantling those limiting beliefs.
Yes.
What stands out to you so far?
I think what I find so powerful about her approach is that she doesn't just tell you what to do.
Right.
She explains why it's important.
Yes.
She helps you understand the deeper mechanics of your mind
Mm-hmm.
and how those mechanics can either work for you or against you.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's not just about positive thinking.
It's not.
It's about understanding the psychology behind
Right.
our thoughts and behaviors.
Yes, and I love how she uses humor and personal anecdotes
Me too.
to make these ideas accessible to everyone.
Yes.
You know,
It doesn't feel preachy or overwhelming. It
Yeah.
feels like...
it feels like a conversation with a friend
Yeah.
who's got your back.
Exactly.
Mm.
And she's not afraid to get real about her own struggles,
Oh, right.
which makes her even more relatable.
100%.
Mm.
I love that she's so transparent
Yeah.
about her own journey.
Yes.
Her own, you know, suckfests.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like, okay, if she can do it,
Yeah.
maybe I can too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
She's not presenting herself as some kind of guru who
Yeah.
has it all figured out.
Nope. She's a fellow traveler on this journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And she's inviting us to come along for the ride.
And what a ride it is.
I know.
So before we move on,
Yeah.
I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Sure.
What are some key things
Good.
our listeners should remember from this part of our deep dive?
Okay, first remember that you have subconscious programming running in the background, influencing your thoughts and actions.
That you can tap into this amazing source energy,
Yes.
this limitless wellspring of creativity and abundance.
Yeah,
But you have to believe you're worthy of it.
you do.
And that means identifying and dismantling those limiting beliefs that are holding you back.
Yes.
And most importantly, taking action.
Taking action.
It's not enough to just think about these things. You have to put them into practice in your everyday life.
Yes, and that's where her practical tools and techniques come in.
Right.
She provides a roadmap for how to actually create the life you desire step by step.
Okay.
But we'll delve into those in more detail next time.
So stay tuned because we're about to get even more badass.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
I'm excited for this.
Me too.
Me too.
Welcome back to our deep dive into You Are a Badass. We've been talking about the power of our beliefs and how they can either limit us or set us free. Now let's get practical and explore some of the tools and techniques Sincero offers for creating that badass life you deserve. And it all starts with meditation.
Okay, I have to admit, whenever I hear the word meditation, my mind immediately conjures up images of monks on mountaintops. It can all feel a bit intimidating. I totally get it. But Sincero does a great job of demystifying meditation and making it accessible to everyone. She emphasizes that there's no right or wrong way to do it. You don't have to sit in lotus pose or chant in Sanskrit. It's really about finding a quiet space, closing your eyes and focusing on your breath.
So it's more about quieting the mind than achieving some kind of perfect meditative state.
Exactly. It's about creating space between your thoughts, about learning to observe your mind without getting swept away by every thought and emotion that arises. And the amazing thing is the more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Sincero even suggests starting small, just 5 minutes a day. It's like building any other healthy habit, like drinking enough water or exercising regularly. You don't have to go from 0 to 60 overnight.
That's such a good point. Small, consistent actions over time can lead to huge transformations. Sincero compares meditation to training a puppy. At first, the puppy's mind is all over the place, but with patience and consistency, you can teach it to focus and stay calm.
I love that analogy. It makes meditation seem so much more manageable. It's not about achieving some kind of superhuman level of stillness. It's about gently guiding your mind back to the present moment over and over again.
And the benefits of meditation are well documented.
Hmm.
It can help reduce stress and anxiety, improve sleep, boost creativity, and even strengthen your immune system.
So it's not just some woo-woo practice for hippies and yogis. It's actually backed by science. I'm sold. Now, besides meditation, what are some other practical tools Sincero recommends?
He talks a lot about the importance of surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people. The saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, it turns out there's a lot of truth to that.
Totally. I've definitely noticed how my energy shifts depending on who I'm hanging out with. If I'm spending time with people who are constantly complaining or gossiping, it's hard to stay positive and motivated.
It's like those people are energy vampires sucking the life force right out of you.
Mm.
Cicero calls them Debbie Downers and encourages us to create a circle of awesome instead.
Love that term, circle of awesome. So how do we go about creating one? Is it just about ditching all our negative friends?
It's not necessarily about ditching people. It's about being mindful of who you're letting into your inner circle. It's about choosing to spend your time with people who lift you up, who inspire you, who believe in you.
And who aren't afraid to call you out on your BS when you need it, right?
Exactly. True friends are the ones who will support you unconditionally, but also challenge you to grow. They want to see you succeed, and they're not afraid to tell you the hard truth even when you don't want to hear them.
So cultivate those relationships, those connections that feel good and that nourish your soul.
Now, what about gratitude? I know that's a big theme in self-help, but I sometimes struggle to make it feel genuine.
I hear you. It's easy for gratitude to feel like a chore, like something you should be doing rather than something that comes naturally.
Yes, like, I know I should be grateful for my health, my family, my friends, but sometimes it feels forced. Sincero has this great story from her childhood that really illustrates this. She talks about how her parents made her and her siblings answer the phone in this super formal way, like Jennifer Sincero speaking, as if they're running some fancy business.
Oh, wow. I can totally relate to that. My family had this rule that we always had to ask, may I please speak to so-and-so? It seems so formal and unnecessary to me, but my parents insisted it was important to be polite.
And Sincero thought it was normal too, until she went to a friend's house and realized they just casually said hello. It made her realize that sometimes we take the simplest things for granted. Things that other people might see as blessings, we just see as normal, everyday occurrences.
That's such a good point. I think it's easy to forget how fortunate we are when we're constantly bombarded with images of people who seem to have more than us, more money, more success, more happiness.
Sincero sees gratitude as a gateway to abundance and happiness. It's about shifting your focus from what you lack to what you have, appreciating the good stuff in your life, no matter how small.
So it's about training your mind to notice and appreciate the good instead of dwelling on the negative. It's like choosing to focus on the flowers instead of the weeds in your garden.
Exactly. And even when things are tough, there's always something to be grateful for. Maybe it's your health, your loved ones, a roof over your head, a delicious cup of coffee.
Or a really great podcast episode. Just kidding. But speaking of things that can be tough, what about forgiveness? That can be a really hard one to wrap your head around.
Forgiveness can be incredibly challenging, but it's also incredibly liberating. Sincero talks about forgiveness in the context of both forgiving yourself and forgiving others.
I think forgiving yourself can be even harder than forgiving someone else. It's easy to get stuck in that cycle of guilt and shame, replaying past mistakes over and over in your head.
It's like carrying around all this heavy baggage that weighs you down and prevents you from moving forward. Sincero encourages us to remember that we all make mistakes. It's part of being human. And holding on to that guilt and shame isn't serving you in any way.
So true. It's not about condoning bad behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the negativity. It's about saying, okay, I messed up, but I'm not going to let it define me. What about forgiving others? That can feel even more impossible sometimes, especially if they haven't even apologized or acknowledged their wrongdoing.
I hear you. When someone hurts you, it's natural to want to hold on to that anger and resentment. It can feel like a way of protecting yourself, of making sure they don't get away with it. But Sincero makes a really powerful point. She says holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's such a vivid image, isn't it?
It's like you're the one who's suffering while they might be totally oblivious or unaffected by your anger.
Right. It's not about condoning their behavior. It's about choosing to release yourself from that negativity.
So forgiveness is ultimately an act of self-care.
Exactly. It's about choosing peace over pain, freedom over imprisonment. And it doesn't mean you have to forget or condone what happened. It just means you're choosing to let go of the negative emotions that are holding you back.
Okay, so we've covered meditation, the importance of surrounding yourself with positive people, practicing gratitude, and the power of forgiveness. Now, Sincero also talks about this concept of loosening your bone, which sounds intriguing. What's that all about?
This is one of my favorite ideas from the book. Sincero got this concept from her travels in India, where she was constantly amazed by people's ability to go with the flow, to embrace the unexpected, even in the midst of chaos.
I've heard about this. Didn't she have a wild experience on a bus ride in India? I'm ready for a good story. Tell me everything.
Okay, so she was expecting this luxurious 5-hour nonstop bus ride to Delhi. You know, one of those fancy buses with reclining seats and air conditioning.
Sounds pretty dreamy. I'd love a relaxing bus ride like that.
But that's not exactly what she got. Instead, she found herself on this crowded, chaotic bus that was constantly stopping for seemingly no reason.
Okay, that's less dreamy. What were all the stops for?
Well, it turned out to be peak wedding season in India, and these weddings are not your typical low-key affairs. They involve elaborate processions, music, dancing, and even fireworks.
Wait, fireworks on a bus? That sounds a little dangerous.
Right. But apparently it's all part of the celebration. And each time the bus encountered one of these wedding processions, everyone would just hop off the bus, join the party for a bit, and then get back on, like nothing had happened.
No way. I can't imagine that happening in most Western countries. People would be so annoyed by the delays and disruptions.
Exactly. But what struck Sincero was that none of the passengers complained. They just rolled with it, embraced the chaos, and even joined in the festivities. They were so present and so accepting of whatever was happening in the moment.
That's so different from our Western obsession with schedules and efficiency. We're always rushing, always trying to control everything. It's no wonder we're so stressed out all the time.
Sincero calls this ability to go with the flow, loosening your bone. It's about letting go of the need to control everything, surrendering to the present moment, and trusting that the journey will unfold as it's supposed to.
I love that. It's like that saying, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Exactly. And sometimes those unplanned detours, those unexpected disruptions, lead to the most memorable experiences. It's about shifting your perspective, seeing the possibilities in every situation.
Okay, so loosening your bone is about embracing the unexpected and finding the joy in the journey even when things don't go according to plan. It's about surrendering to the flow of life, trusting that everything is happening for a reason.
Yes. And it's about finding the humor in those unexpected situations.
Yeah.
Sincero is a master of that.
She's hilarious. I love how she can find the funny side of even the most challenging experiences.
It's such a valuable skill. When you can laugh at yourself and at life's absurdities, it takes the pressure off and allows you to relax and enjoy the ride.
So we've covered a lot of ground here: meditation, creating a circle of awesome, practicing gratitude, the power of forgiveness, and loosening your bone. What's resonating with you most right now?
I think what's really hitting home for me is this idea that we have so much more power than we realize. We're not victims of our circumstances. We're creators of our reality. And with the right mindset and tools, we can create the lives we desire, even if it seems impossible right now.
I totally agree. Sincero makes it clear that it's not about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about embracing the journey, the ups and downs, and having fun along the way.
Absolutely. And speaking of fun, Sincero has some really insightful advice on overcoming procrastination and perfectionism, two of the biggest obstacles to creating a badass life. But we'll save those for part 3. Don't go anywhere.
All right, so welcome back to our deep dive into You Are a Badass.
Yes?
We've been talking about all the ways that we can unlock our inner badassery,
Yeah.
from connecting with source energy to loosening our bones and embracing the unexpected. Now let's tackle 2 sneaky self-sabotage gremlins that I think we've all encountered at some point.
Okay.
Procrastination and perfectionism.
Procrastination and perfectionism, they often work as a tag team, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah, you put things off because you want them to be perfect, and then the pressure of perfection makes it even harder to get started.
Oh, it is such a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
I am definitely guilty of this.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to overthink and overprepare,
Uh-huh.
which often leads to me putting things off until the last minute,
Yeah.
and then I'm scrambling to finish, and the quality suffers.
Yeah.
Um,
She calls procrastination a popular form of self-sabotage
okay.
because it's so easy to fall into that trap.
Right. Yeah.
There's always distractions, always a reason to put things off until later.
Yes.
But as she points out, that initial rush of relief that you get from procrastinating quickly fades.
Right.
And then you're left with this looming sense of dread and overwhelm.
It's like you're trading short-term comfort
Yes.
for long-term stress.
You are.
So, how do we break free from this procrastination prison?
Well,
What are some practical strategies that she suggests?
she talks about the importance of identifying your stop points. Those moments in a project where you're most likely to bail.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're writing a paper, maybe your stop point is when you hit writer's block.
Oh.
Or if you're cleaning your house, maybe it's when you get to that really cluttered closet
Right.
that you've been avoiding.
That you've been avoiding.
Right.
It's about knowing your weaknesses.
It is.
Right.
Like, okay, I always get distracted by social media when I'm supposed to be working, so I need to turn off my notifications.
Right.
Or put my phone in another room.
Yes, exactly.
Outsmart.
Outsmart those distractions before they sabotage you.
Outsmart them, yes.
Yeah.
And she also suggests making a bet with someone who will hold you accountable.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
write a check for a significant amount to a cause you absolutely despise.
Okay.
And give it to a friend with instructions to mail it
What?
if you don't meet your deadline.
Wow, that's hardcore.
Right.
But I can see how it would be effective.
Sometimes we need that extra push.
Yeah, okay. Either I finish this project or I'm funding something I hate. Let's talk about motivation.
Right.
All right, now let's talk about perfectionism,
Okay.
which Sincero sees as another major obstacle to success.
Yeah, it's like this fear of not being good enough,
Mm-hmm.
of making mistakes, of being judged.
It's that voice in your head that says,
Yes,
it has to be perfect or it's not worth doing at all.
exactly. Which, of course, is totally unrealistic
Right.
and ultimately paralyzing.
And ultimately paralyzing, yeah.
She encourages us to embrace imperfection,
Mm.
to focus on progress over perfection.
Okay.
And she even shares a funny anecdote
Okay.
about how she spent like a whole month
Mm.
meticulously preparing her office to write a book,
Uh-huh.
getting everything just right.
Okay.
And then she ended up writing the whole thing at her kitchen table.
I love that.
Yeah, it just shows how we can get so caught up in the details in creating the perfect conditions that we never actually get started.
Right.
Sometimes all we need to do is just start, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect.
Yeah. The key is to shift your focus from the outcome to the process. Right.
Enjoy the journey, the act of creating, rather than putting all the pressure on the end result.
Yeah. And remember, mistakes are inevitable, but they're also valuable learning opportunities.
They are.
Okay, now another big theme
Yes.
in You Are a Badass is money.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have a complicated relationship with money, myself included.
It's true. Money can be a source of stress, anxiety, even shame for a lot of people.
Okay.
But Sincero encourages us to reframe our relationship with money, to see it as a tool for abundance and freedom,
Okay.
rather than something to be feared or hoarded.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
So it's not about being greedy or materialistic.
Right.
It's about recognizing that money can be a powerful force for good in the world,
It can.
right? It can help us create the lives we want,
Yes.
Yeah.
support the causes we care about,
Mhm.
and make a positive impact on the world,
Exactly. And it all starts with shifting our beliefs about money.
right?
Do we see it as something that's scarce and hard to come by?
Yeah.
Or do we believe there's enough for everyone, including us?
That's so powerful.
It is.
Our beliefs really do create our reality.
They do.
If we believe we're not worthy of abundance or that money is evil,
Yeah.
then we're going to block ourselves from receiving it.
You got it.
Okay, so how do we actually go about attracting more wealth and abundance into our lives?
Well, she talks about the power of visualization.
Okay.
Vividly imagining yourself having the money you desire,
Okay.
feeling the emotions of wealth and abundance as if it's already yours.
I've heard about that technique, but I've always been a little skeptical.
I get it.
It seems too easy,
Yeah.
almost like wishful thinking.
But there's actually a lot of research that supports the power of visualization.
Really?
When we visualize something vividly, we're essentially creating a blueprint in our mind.
Okay.
And that blueprint can influence our actions and attract opportunities that align with our goals.
So it's not just about daydreaming.
Right.
It's about using our imagination to create a clear vision of what we want and then taking action to make it happen.
100%. And that action piece is crucial.
Okay.
She encourages us to make money a priority,
Okay.
to act as if you already have it.
Right.
It's about aligning your choices and your actions with your financial goals.
It's about taking control of your finances,
Yes.
educating yourself about money, and making smart choices that support your long-term financial well-being.
Yes. And it's about recognizing that you deserve abundance, that you're worthy of having the things you desire.
Yeah.
She reminds us that we are all powerful creators and we have the ability to manifest the lives we want.
Okay.
It's not always easy,
Right.
but it's definitely possible.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into you are a badass.
We have.
We've explored the power of our beliefs, the importance of taking action, the magic of meditation, the value of surrounding ourselves with positive people, the transformative power of gratitude and forgiveness,
Yes.
the freedom of loosening our bones, and the importance of reframing our relationship with money.
We did.
What are some key takeaways you hope our listener will walk away with today?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. You are a badass, and you have the power to create the life you desire.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about embracing your imperfections, learning from your mistakes, and never giving up on your dreams.
It's about stepping into your power,
Yes.
recognizing your worthiness,
Yes.
and taking action to make your vision a reality.
You got it.
And it's about remembering to have fun along the way.
Yes.
Life is too short to be serious all the time.
Absolutely. Sincero's book is a powerful reminder that we're all capable of amazing things. We just have to believe in ourselves, tap into our inner badassery, and take that first step.
So what are you waiting for?
I don't know.
Go out there and create the life you've always dreamed of.
Yeah.
And until next time, stay badass.
Stay badass.